All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a technology that could totally change our relationship with the wireless world. It's called an Intelligent Reflecting Surface, or IRS for short, and get this, it promises to turn our entire environment from a passive obstacle into an active ally for our communications. Let me just ask you this. What if the very walls of your room, the windows in your office, or even the billboards on the street could actively find your phone and beam a perfect high-speed signal directly to it? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But believe it or not, that's the core idea behind IRS. Okay, so to really get why we even need this stuff, we first have to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. And I like to call it our wireless wall. You see, for decades now, we've really only had three main ways to improve our wireless networks. We build more cell towers, we try to cram more data into the signals we already have, and we find new radio frequencies. But we're basically hitting a wall. Each of these old tricks now comes with massive drawbacks. We're talking soaring costs, insane energy consumption, and just crippling signal interference. We're running out of room to grow the old-fashioned way. And this is where our hero, so to speak, enters the story. To break through that wireless wall, we need a completely new approach. So enter the Intelligent Reflecting Surface, which acts kind of like a revolutionary smart mirror, but for radio waves. So what in the world is an IRS? Well, at its heart, it's basically a thin, flat surface. You can almost picture it like a sheet of wallpaper. And it's embedded with thousands of tiny, super simple electronic elements. Now, the key words you need to remember here are passive and low cost. These little things, they don't generate their own signals, right? They just reflect the ones that are already flying around. And they do it without needing a ton of power or really expensive hardware. And this right here, this illustrates the huge conceptual leap we're talking about. I mean, think about it. For the entire history of wireless communication, we've treated the environment, the walls, the buildings, as this random, hostile thing we have to fight against. We design systems to adapt to signal loss. And IRS just completely flips that script. It lets us proactively modify the environment itself. We can control that randomness and basically program the wireless channel to do exactly what we want it to do. And hey, don't just take my word for it. As the source material for this explainer puts it, this isn't just some small, incremental improvement. No way. It's considered a disruptive and revolutionary technology. And the goal here is all about sustainable growth, making our networks better without the crazy costs and energy drain of our current methods. Okay, so how does this smart mirror for radio waves actually pull this off? Let's get into the really cool part, how these surfaces actually control the airwaves. All right, so check this out, because this is where the magic happens. Normally, when a Wi-Fi or 5G signal hits a regular wall, what happens? It just scatters randomly in all directions, losing a ton of energy. But when that same signal hits an IRS, thousands of these tiny elements catch it. Then, a central controller tells each and every one of those elements to make a tiny, tiny adjustment to the timing of the wave it reflects. Think of it like, aligning all the little ripples in a pond so they add up. Physicists call this adjusting the phase. And by tuning all these thousands of tiny reflections so their peaks and valleys line up perfectly, they combine, they constructively interfere, and form one single, super powerful beam aimed exactly where you want it to go, like right at your phone. And here is the most incredible part. The power boost you get, it isn't just proportional to the number of these little reflecting elements, which we'll call n. Nope, it's proportional to n squared. This squared relationship, honestly, it's a total game changer. It means if you double the number of elements, you don't just double the power, you quadruple it. A surface with, say, 100 elements doesn't give you a 100 times boost, it gives you a 10,000 times boost. It's an absolutely unprecedented level of signal power. So you can imagine this n squared power gives these IRS networks some pretty incredible new abilities. Let's take a look at a few of these, let's call them wireless superpowers. First up, erasing dead zones. We've all been there, right? You walk behind a big pillar or into a certain room in your house and boom, your signal just vanishes. And those super high-frequency signals, like millimeter wave, which are going to be crucial for 6G, they're even worse because they get blocked by pretty much anything. Well, if you stick an IRS on a wall, it can catch that signal, bend it right around the obstacle, and create a strong, virtual line-of-sight link. It just fills in that dead spot with perfect coverage. Okay, here's another super common problem. You're at the edge of a cell tower's range. The signal's weak, and you're getting all this annoying interference from the next tower over. An IRS placed at that cell edge can actually do two things at once. It can focus a really strong beam on your phone to boost your signal, and at the same time, it can destructively interfere with the signal from that other tower. It basically creates a little interference-free bubble just for you. Now this one is really exciting, especially for the future of the Internet of Things. Just imagine a factory or a smart home, just jam-packed with thousands of tiny sensors. I mean, changing all those batteries, that'd be impossible. But an IFRS can actually take the radio waves that are already in the air and focus them into this tight beam of energy, powerful enough to wirelessly charge all these little low-energy devices. It's a concept called SWIFT. That stands for Simultaneous Wireless Information and Power Transfer. I mean, this could be the key to a future with truly battery-free gadgets. So, on a bigger picture level, here's the key takeaway. An IRS can take a weak, unpredictable, faded wireless channel and totally transform it into a strong, reliable one. By intelligently creating these new signal paths where there were none before, it can artificially buff the overall conditions for communication, making literally everything faster and way more robust. So, when you put all these superpowers together, you start to get a really clear picture of why IRS is seen as a foundational technology for 6G and beyond. It's really a key ingredient for building a truly smart wireless environment. So let's just recap the big promises of this technology. Because all those little elements are passive, the complexity, the cost, and the power consumption are all incredibly low, especially when you compare it to building a whole new cell tower. Yet, as we saw with that mind-blowing n-squared gain, the performance can be incredibly high. And because these surfaces are so thin and you can basically put them anywhere, they offer amazing flexibility and can be integrated right into the networks we already have. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. For over 100 years, right, our devices and our networks, they've been designed to just passively adapt to the random physics of the world around us. Intelligent, reflecting surfaces, they represent the moment where we flip that entire equation on its head. So the real question is, what happens when the world itself starts adapting to us? Definitely something to think about. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in.